We're here at Leawood Prison in La Junta, Colorado, for an exclusive interview with Peter Martin. Martin, as you might remember, was a 35-year-old disgruntled anthropologist who pled guilty in state court 18 months ago to the execution-style killing of Triumph Health Plan CEO Andrea Bales. Aside from his guilty plea, Martin has remained mostly silent. He declined to even make a statement at his sentencing hearing, where his first-degree murder conviction bought him life in prison without the possibility of parole. We'll get his side when we return.
We're out for commercial.
I would say disgruntled is not the right word.
Huh?
You described me as disgruntled. Disillusioned would be better, more accurate in a sense.
Back from commercial.
Peter, what made you decide to break your silence today?
I wanted to wait until the initial headlines and outrage over my acts had subsided. Everything I say and do will forever be colored by my being a murderer. However, the initial public and media frenzy also risked being taken permanently out of context. I did not want that to occur. I guess you could say I had all the time I desired to wait it out.
And how has your life changed since you entered prison?
Well, obviously, my life has been made the worse by incarceration. Prison is more brutal than it by all rights should be, but murderers are placed in prison because they're destroyers of order. They do not elicit sympathy for the plight, so be it. Yet, I've always found that reaction a little odd. It doesn't really appear anywhere else in nature. Baboons often murder to achieve dominance, yet they're treated by other baboons after the fact with awe and even respect.
Okay, so have you been able to make any sort of peace?
I've mostly been at peace with what I've done. I would say this has been sort of a triumph over impotence.
Sexual impotence?
No. Although I understand some murderers do feel a form of sexual euphoria during and after the act, I would characterize it more as a triumph over the inevitability of the pecking order.
In English, please?
In 2006, Andrea Bales earned $52 million in salary and stock options. That's $1 million a week. She earned more in 1 week that year than I've earned in my entire lifetime. That's out of sorts, wouldn't you say?
Wouldn't you say it's out of sorts for you to cast yourself as her judge and jury?
It is. And for that right, I will reside here for the rest of my life. I made a conscious trade in order to exercise that power.
But why? Why would you murder a complete stranger?
She caused the death of my daughter.
Peter Martin claims that the CEO of the nation's largest health plan killed his daughter. We'll return in a moment to get that story and more.
We're out for commercial.
I've done a lot of interviews with people like you over the years, and frankly, they don't act this way.
What way?
They're evasive, very goddamn evasive. They don't want to own up to what they did, so they claim they're innocent. But you can tell from the moon that they're lying.
That's what sells?
And yeah.
So you're saying murder is a commodity to you?
You know exactly what I mean.
I do. But take comfort in the fact that no one takes me seriously anyway.
Yeah, that bullshit about your daughter getting killed will seal it.
We're back from commercial.
Before our last break, Peter Martin claimed that the Triumph Health CEO, Andrea Bales, contributed to the death of his daughter.
That's right.
What did she die of?
Leukemia. Miranda was only 9.
So you're saying that Andrea Bales is to blame for your daughter's leukemia? How so? Did she put a curse on her?
She's to blame for her death.
How so?
A couple years ago, bruises started showing up on Miranda's side and back. I took her to the doctor. The diagnosis was made.
Children die of leukemia every day. That doesn't mean it's anyone's fault.
It is when you and your board of directors commission a secret department whose only job is to review policies that may be costing them money. And then find a reason, any reason, to drop them.
They're running a business. Isn't that their
prerogative? No. Their prerogative is to ensure their policyholders. Instead, someone from that department scoured the internet, found out in some genealogy forums that Miranda's maternal grandmother had died of leukemia, and then canceled our policy because we failed to disclose it in the family history. I had no idea about it myself. I have no idea if it's actually true. It's sort of like the information age's version of the blood libel. Miranda was in line for a bone marrow transplant. Then they canceled her policy. Canceled the policy, canceled the transplant, and stuck us with all the bills for the medications, the lab work, the physician's consultations, nearly $70,000 worth. I was selling our personal items on eBay and knocking on neighbors' doors to try and raise the money to save her. I also tried to appeal to the plan, get them to reverse the decision. They wouldn't even budge.
You could have sued.
I could have gone to arbitration with Triumph's hand-picked referees.
You're out of frame. Sit down.
Why does this matter? Why is this up for debate? They could have shoveled money at me, buried me in a line, and it wouldn't have brought her back.
So you took matters into your own hands. Sit down.
After I read in the paper about the secret denial department, that they had paid $1 million bonuses to the people running it, I decided that suing wasn't going to be satisfactory.
But that's how the system works. Sit down.
Eichmann killed little kids because he was following orders. They spent 15 years hunting him down so he could be hanged. Andrea Bales does something like that to earn more money than she can figure out what to do with. And they lionized her. The tiniest fraction of that money to save Miranda. So who is the moralist here?
But she had 2 children herself. And will you please sit down?
Yeah. Madison and Abigail. Madison was addicted to crystal meth and was in and out of rehab. Abigail had run away from home, got hooked on heroin, and was peddling her ass in downtown Denver.
You have an answer for everything, don't you? How about an answer for what you did?
You want me to play that game, don't you? The deranged murderer makes the big confessional spectacle.
Whatever you want.
Fine. It was a few months after Miranda had been buried. I'd been spending a lot of time on the internet. Found out to my great surprise that Andrea Bales was listed in the phone book. 6 collectors had called that day. I went to a pawn shop hoping to get some cash for an extra watch of mine. Instead, I bought a Ruger 22. I decided to take a drive around Lake Michigan. I wound up on the 80 instead, heading west. I pulled into Denver around 6 the next morning. Drove right through the guard gate at Fox Hills. I guess a white guy didn't concern them. Wound up at the Bales Manse. Lots of turrets. Like a sandcastle that had gotten too big for the waves to melt. She was walking to her car. St. John knit suit, oxblood briefcase, perfectly coiffed. I confronted her politely. I asked her if she knew anything about my daughter.
We're out for commercial.